Hello and welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with your hosts, Daniel.
And Daniel.
Daniel, are you excited for tomorrow as I am?
Somewhat.
Somewhat?
Stuck with you all day. That can be a challenge.
It can, but I've done it many times and it's not as bad as you think. No, so we just want to give a quick shout out real quick. If you listen to us and you're listening to us live and you happen to hear this, as a reminder, if you happen to be in the Albuquerque area over the next couple days, let us know, and we'll say hello. Otherwise, we're going to be doing a lot of traveling this next week or so.
Dealing with something you wanted to do as a goals list, so
it is, and but you also wanted to do this as part of our channel, right?
Yeah.
This is we've been trying to try some new stuff, stuff that we haven't done yet for this channel. And so one of the goals that I had this year, is that we want to review all of the game stores in New Mexico.
We've hit 3 so far.
There's 3 so far, and that was a few months ago.
Honestly, there's not that many in New Mexico, so it's not going to be that hard. The main thing is where we're going is the big bulk of what we got to do.
Right. Yeah, and I was looking at it, there's... I think we should break it into 3 parts. There's Albuquerque proper, northern, southern.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that just makes the most sense.
Yeah,
the northern cities, southern cities. Then that way we can. Break
and also, we want to get back home tomorrow for game night.
Yes, or the following day.
Wednesday for the following day. So.
Yep, the game night's important.
Yeah, it is. Especially since me and Dom are probably going to switch our weeks. This way, Gamehead Geek can get back onto the campaign that we're doing. So. I'm looking forward to this. I'm also looking forward to today's episode. You want to tell the people what we're talking about?
Today, we're going to do a board game breakdown for Castles of Burgundy and Agricola. So we're going to compare and contrast those two games, talk about all of our gamer criteria, what kind of people will like each one based on the criteria that we talk about. And if you know about one of them, then you can relate it to the other in the same way.
And the big thing about it, too, is these are the most distinct 2 we've done for the compare and contrast. And it's just mainly because these are the 2 games that really put their specific designers on the map.
Yes.
And so that is the main thing they get compared to, is the fact that these are the games that put these specific designers on the map. But they're also very good in light, in a sense, Euros. They're more medium weight, if anything.
And out of all of our compare and contrast, the interesting part about this is that they're 2 very solid Euro games, but they're not they're only compared based on provenance, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people who know about Castle of Burgundy know about Agricola, or vice versa. It's not because they're similar games. So there's a lot of contrast that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Fewer comparisons.
There is some similarities.
There is some similarities, sure. I give you that, but
not mechanistically though.
Not mechanistically, no. They're really quite different games, but that's going to be part of it. So
yeah,
and we both like both of the games.
Yeah, I like one more than the other, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, but we both like them.
Oh yeah, no, I enjoy both,
and I feel like there's a lot of overlap. A lot of people who like one probably like the other as well.
Yes,
I'm not certain on that, but I feel like there is. Mm-hmm. Cool, but before we get into that, let's get into today's news for board gaming.
All right, this is a big one. We're going to flip the coin.
That's right. Here we go. That'll be you.
All right, starting off for me today, the big thing is we have a continuing descent of G.A.M.E.R, which scares me a lot because I got a lot of money in this company. The big thing, of course, everybody knows, I think we talked about it last month when we did the news, they sold off Zombicide in the Lang Trio of games, Ankh, Blood Rage, and... Blood Rage and Rising Sun. Those are the 3 that they sold off.
As plus well the as Arcadia Quest.
Oh, yeah, Arcadia Quest was another one, yeah. So they sold those off to what is now Tycoon Games, or formerly known as Tabletop Tycoon.
Yep.
Now, they just canceled Genesis Clan Wars, an IP that they had with a company. I forgot to write down who it was, but they're having a dispute with said company. I think it's like Vodka something or another. It's a European company. A dispute with the IP holder of the Genesis Clan Wars. There is a dispute about payment. Simon says they made a payment. The other people were saying they're not a payment. They canceled it. Backers will get a full refund. However, there has to be a legal resolution first. There is a court case or something like that going through the wire. If you want to check out more information on this, I will leave a link down below to the Board Game Wire article that really breaks this down for everybody to see. But yeah, G.A.M.E.R is continuing in the descent. So I hope they finish off the stuff that I want. And then I'll probably be done with them until I know for sure they're going to be a secure company.
I wouldn't even.
I'm not going to back anything new with them. It's just
No.
that I have the Cthulhu Death May Die backed, and I have the DC United backed. Those are the last two things I have of theirs. And I have a pre-order of the Cthulhu game from Martin Wallace, Dark Providence or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, and same thing with what Illumina says. He's done with him after Godzilla. I just need to get these two things that I'm getting back, and then I probably won't back anything of theirs unless I know for a fact they're around. Mind you, they're not going to put any new game founds. They're not going to do any other projects until they fulfill what they have, and I'm hoping they can at least get those done.
Yeah. And I know one of their... Didn't they sell Zombicide to Asmodee or something?
Yeah, Zombicide got sold to Asmodee, and then Starcadia Quest... and the Lang games that I was talking about, the Lang trio, Ankh, the Gods trio is what we like to call them, the Lang God trios, and then the those are the main ones that all got sold to. Those ones specifically were sold to Tabletop Tycoon, which are now Tycoon games.
Right.
Which honestly, I agree with what Tom Vassell is saying. It looks like Tycoon Games is doing the buying everything to make it look juicy for Asmodee to buy them. And that's what it looks like to me as well.
Which would make a lot of sense, honestly, you know.
Asmodee's back in that where they want to buy all these companies again, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, but it worked one time, why not again, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, the first one I want to talk about today is a game called Flip Voyage that was just either recently announced or they've been talking about it. I saw a video. Rado did a preview of it. It's going to be on Kickstarter. This is the follow-up to Flip Town, Flippin' Right that you really like. I very much enjoyed it as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is nautical theme. You are Jules Verne in the Nautilus, like
ooh,
yeah, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I don't know if it's exactly that thematic, but it's the same idea. You use a deck of cards. They're gonna have a custom deck of cards that has a Kraken on it, and you're flipping them over. Deal out 3. You're gonna be traveling around the map underwater, and you're gonna be fulfilling the different things on parts of your submarine.
Technically, you could go underground if you went through like an underwater cave system.
Good, yeah. It's true. I don't know about that expansion or not, but yeah, you heard it first here, people. No, Steve Armini is like back with another, and I already really liked Flip Town.
Yeah.
Wild West themes is pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
But I really
you love underwater exploration.
I love underwater exploration themes. I don't know what it is about those games, but I really enjoy like if it has that blue overtone and you're seeing flish slimming by.
Flish, huh?
Flish slimming by. Yeah, it's the German.
He can't
fish.
speak.
Apparently not. Any time on that, it looks awesome. Looks like it's the same general idea. One board in front of people. And apparently there's also some other stuff that you can play like as an alternate solo where there's like this Kraken-like creature that's like following you and trying to...
I believe it.
It's pretty neat how it works.
There's some solo variants in Flip Town.
Yeah.
So
I believe it. But yeah, Flip Voyage. I'm looking forward to that.
All right, so I got some interesting bit of news for my next couple bit of news. First off is a board game cafe called Draughts in London are threatening a strike. And they have joined a union over there. I don't know about how the union works in London in the UK and stuff like that. There is different unions here in America, which I'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, they're threatening a strike. They want more security concerns, especially late at night, because this place is supposed to be open till like 2:00 in the morning or something like that in London. So they're concerned for safeties. They're also wanting a less erratic schedule. So basically they want something where it's more of a fixed schedule rather than on the whim of the owners and stuff like that.
Sure.
They have joined a union that is making this happen for them as well. So they did that a year ago. And there's still no response from management about what's going on. But there is a possibility that they're going to unionize and cause a strike at a board game cafe. It's one of the first board game cafes in London, from my understanding. So good luck on them, and we'll see what happens. I hope they at least get the safety that they need, because London late at night could be dangerous.
Yeah, it can. I had no idea about this. That's interesting. I wonder, are they a chain? Do you know, or if you're
Draughts? No, they have like one or two companies, but Draughts is the main one, from my understanding.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. The next one I want to talk about is Pandasaurus. They are doing their Road to Gen Con announcements.
This has me excited.
This is news that is currently in development, and I say that because they announce every week a new game or a new title that they are releasing.
Or expansion.
On the road to Gen Con. So all the weeks following up to Gen Con every Monday, if you follow them on their social media pages, you'll see their new announcements.
Also, we must make a caveat here. We're recording these ahead of time. You'll hear this closer to Gen Con, so they'll have more stuff announced.
So they just announced a game called Tricky Kids, which seems cool. I mean,
yeah, it looks neat.
Yet another trick-taking game. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also comes from a fan or a friend of the podcast, Danielle Reynolds.
Yep.
It's a co-design from her, so always go out and support her games because she's cool.
Yep. If she supported us, we support her 100%. I'm sure it's going to be great. But with that being said, like they've already announced a couple expansions. They announced Sea Salt and Paper, More Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
They also announced another expansion one, the Pixies expansion. Yeah. And so it looks like it's in a little blister pack and all that stuff. So this has been fun to watch, and like what's her name? Who's in charge of the media relations at Pandasaurus? We had the privilege of meeting
Monica?
her. Something.
It's like Monica Mondragon or something.
Something like that. And forgive us, like she's awesome. I just don't remember her name off the top of my head.
It's been a while since
she did one of the coolest demos we've ever seen.
Yeah,
she did like 8 games back to back.
He's like,
let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about this for our podcast, and that was cool that she did that. So like, gotta give her shouts out and go support Pandasaurus because we love what they do.
Oh yeah, they bring in some good games.
Yeah, they do.
All right, back to me. I have more news about board game cafes. This one is a bigger one. The New York cafes, there's New York cafe workers have unionized. This one specifically, they have unionized in New York City. They want living wages for all employees at the board game cafe. They are part of the Tabletop Workers United Union. It's been a 2-year battle. They want not a lot, but they're fighting for the living wages, as I said, an ability to, support their family in that city, as well as they want a transparent path to promotions instead of, again, like I was saying in the other one, instead of up to the whim of the owners. It's been a long fight with this one company. The fact that they've joined a union, formalized a union, and now are in labor discussions with the New York Board Game Cafe. I am pro-union, always have been. I almost joined a union. If I stayed in my EMT access, I would have been in part of that union. Oh. I believe you are a union member.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was a union member when she was working for Boeing, so I have a lot of respect for unions. I will not cross a picket line. That is my one rule. I will never cross a picket line.
Yep.
So, the New York board game cafes have unionized, and they are fighting for living wages. So, good on them.
And this is just my, I don't really have strong thoughts on unions, right? I am a union member for a number of jobs that I've been a part of, and I do understand them. I just didn't I don't know the difference between, I get unions for bigger companies and large industries and stuff, but it seems odd that there's unions for board game cafes, right? It seems very specific, right? Well, I'm not saying that it doesn't. It's just that surprised me, is what I'm saying.
No, there's unions for that because there's unions for grocery management and stuff like that.
Sure,
it is there is a lot of unions for people who are working class, and it's for these kind of labor disputes. This way they get fair contracts. Now, unions can be corrupted. It's been shown and stuff like that. But unions do, at its core, fight for the lower class or the middle class, the blue collars, the people that are supporting their families, and the main ones that are supporting the economy. So I am always been pro-union, and a big part of it too is my mom was a union, my dad was a union member back when he was working for hotels. He was part of a hospitality union, and it's just mainly for the fact that all people want is enough pay to live where they're at, because a lot of wages do not increase with the cost of living. And so there are people who are trying to live off minimum wage jobs when minimum wage was brought around to allow one person to support a family of 3 on just minimum wage. You can't even support a single person on minimum wage nowadays.
Not anymore. Yeah.
So that is the thing. I have been and always will be pro-union.
Yeah. Like I said, it surprised me. It's wow, I didn't realize that
Starbucks has a union.
Well, again, Starbucks is massive, right?
Yeah.
Like I knew about Walmart's unions. I knew about like a lot of like the industries and stuff that are big. I'm just like I wasn't. I guess I just didn't expect it. It makes sense, but I'm like, oh wow, like board game cafes have a union in there.
Yeah, well,
right. It just seems so specific.
They usually fall under like the hospitality branch of things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like grocery stores,
restaurant, tourism, and
restaurant.
Yep, that makes sense. Cool. Next thing that I want to talk about, and it is a game. This is just a bizarre game that I just wanted to talk about. They're coming up with it pretty soon. They're going to do a Kickstarter campaign or a fundraising campaign of some sort. I do believe it's Kickstarter, and they're currently accepting email submissions so you can get like a bonus when they do go live. But it's a game called The Sheep, and the idea of this game is
you are the sheep.
Sure. No, the idea of this game is simple. During the day, you're ordinary shepherds. You know, you have your flock, you're taking care of them, standard like farmer. Speaking of Agricola, right? You know, seems like a fairly standard farmer. Until nighttime happens, in which case the sheep somehow turn against you and it's a survival game. And so you have to survive at night in a survival game, but then take care of your flock. What, do the sheep become
vampires or something?
I guess. I don't know. It's so bizarre. And I love it when people do something that's just that off the wall. Like, and the game looks like it takes itself seriously. Like at first, like the cover has, you know, like a shepherd and a fairly normal looking sheep, but the background is so dark and gloomy and it looks so different. It has me intrigued, to say the least. So I'm really hoping this isn't a joke. I mean, it's a joke in itself, right?
Yeah.
But I hope it's a real thing that they're actually trying to produce, because that sounds like such a fascinating concept of a game.
Sure.
Half survival, half like ranching.
Yeah, that part sounds cool. I don't know about the whole sheep thing. Like, you could do a survival game in the post-apocalyptic world where you have to worry about something coming at you at night.
Right. I mean, it makes sense. I'm just like,
why are you
those two together?
But here's my thing: why are you going to protect a flock that's going to attack you? That's what bothers me. It's like,
right?
It doesn't
I don't
make
know.
sense.
I don't know.
I was like, screw these guys.
That's why I'm so intrigued. Why? What is the incentive here? I'll pull up the better description here in a moment. But like, it's such a fascinating idea. So I signed up to be notified when on launch. I don't know if it'll be expensive or not, but it looks funny.
All right. So my last bit of news. It's going to be a bit of a longer bit of news because it's award season, and Origins had announced their awards. Origins just happened at the back end of June, so in fact, when next episode I'm going to talk about something I was doing, it was the week I was doing that thing. Well, you'll hear that next week on the next episode. So the Origin Awards, I have the award winners right here, and this first one I'm going to talk about is the one I don't agree with, because it's a standalone expansion, but it is an expansion, but it's not a new game. The winner for the best co-op / solo game was Marvel United Multiverse. And don't get me wrong, I love Marvel United. I have a lot of it up there. But it wasn't new. It was new. This specific brand of it was new, but it's no different than Marvel United, other than it adds a little bit of flavor to it.
Yeah.
It's no different than anything else out there, but it ended up winning co-op / solo. Now, I will give the fact that the solo part of it, they changed it for that game, so it's a little different than what you get for the Marvel United, but I still don't think it should have won that part of the award. It's not a new game. However, I do like this, because you and me are both a fan of this game. Gateway game went to Seaside.
Yes.
That was a fantastic little game, and it kind of just didn't really hit, but I'm glad there are people who are giving it some love.
There's enough recognition for it, for sure.
Then you have Party Game. This is the big hunker one right now. Flip 7. This is everywhere.
Yep.
Won the Party Game.
No surprise there.
No surprise there.
Yep.
Heavy strategy game went to Endeavor Deep Sea, which makes sense. This is another big one. Kenner and Spiel des Jahres nominees as well. Endeavor, Kenner, and then Spiel for Flip 7.
Yep.
Then you have Light Strategy Game went to Fromage, which, oh man, we like
Fromage a lot.
That is a damn and dom game if I ever saw one.
If we find it for sale, I'm buying it.
Yeah, I'm going to look at it. I like the fact that they have these categories as well. You have Fixed Constructible Decks, which is a card game where the deck is already made for you. You like this game. I like this game from the now defunct company Greater Than Games. Compile main 1 is what they said here, but Compile was a fantastic game. It is a fixed deck. You just build based off a certain amount of cards that you put in there. Mm-hmm. Then the randomized constructible deck went to, guess what? A Magic the Gathering set. This one specifically Bloom Burrow. So one of the more recent ones.
It has a lot of like cutesy animals in it and stuff. It looks pretty fun.
Then you have a miniature core set, which went to Star Trek Into the Unknown. Those are really some good-looking minis. Not a mini game player, but they looked really good.
Sure. Yeah.
Then the best miniatures went to Fool's Gold Miniatures. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
The best miniature paint went to AK Interactive. AK Interactive, sorry.
We believe it. Yeah.
Sure. RPG core book went to Yazaba's Bed and Bath. That is a unique RPG core set. So, that's something different you don't really see in RPGs. And then the best RPG supplemental went to Call of Cthulhu, No Time to Scream. So congratulations to all our award winners. I love the award season. We're going to have some fun next month when we talk about the Spiel des Jahres, because we have a big thing going on about that on our Chits and Giggles episode.
That's right.
Next month, look forward in August.
There's the cover of The Sheep, as you can see. And it says, The Sheep is a cooperative horror comedy game for 2 to 4 players. Each player is a member of the Shepherds, a mercenary group hired to help caravans travel through the wilderness. Each day, sheep are harmless, and even a little cute. But at night, sheep transform into terrifying monsters with insatiable bloodlust. The shepherds are the only thing standing between the sheep and the civilians, so work together to make sure everyone survives the night.
I don't like that cover art either. It looks AI generated.
It might. It might be. I would have to look into that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm just intrigued by that idea. And my last piece of news that I'm going to be talking about today, Illuminous brought this up, Board Game Tycoon. Yep, speaking of them, G.A.M.E.R Games just sold Board Game Tycoon. I don't know. Tycoon Games, sorry. Tabletop Tycoon was the original one. Yeah. Now it's Tycoon Games. Anyway, yeah.
I like their logo.
Yeah, the logo's all right.
It's a cowboy hat.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
You don't see a cowboy hat.
No, I see it. It's all right. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid logo. Yeah, sure. Anyway, so they just sold theirs, and they're going to be handling fulfillment through them. There was an update from G.A.M.E.R Games that was sent out today through their Kickstarter, saying talking about the future of it, how they're incredibly excited about it, and that's one of the things that I was always impressed with. G.A.M.E.R Games has always been one of those companies that has been on their own for a long time.
Yeah.
They stood on their own. They've always done their own thing. I've never heard of them talks about anything of selling to anybody or merging with anybody. So this does come at a surprise on that level alone. But they have like 14 titles already in the Tiny Epic line alone, plus a number of others that are outside of that.
Land, Air, and Sea was a big one.
Yeah, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. You have like some reprints like Dragonland and whatnot. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm curious to see how this will change. I hope it doesn't burn them, because I really do like G.A.M.E.R games a lot.
And the thing about it, though, is I understand why they did it. The way the market is right now, you don't know what's going to happen with the tariffs, with the ability of shipping, where COVID really changed the shipping aspect of things. And then you got the tariffs that are going on right now.
Yep.
And people moving to more card game-based things, or Panda, which is a big board game company, building a system now in Brazil to start printing over there to hopefully make the tariffs a little bit easier. So it's kind of interesting how things are going to change with the way things are going with this current administration, plus just the laws that are changing out in the land right now. So I understand why they went that route.
Yeah. Curious to see. All right, so we're going to get into today's episode. This is a board game breakdown of Castles of Burgundy with Agricola.
Mm-hmm.
So you gave a look like...
Yeah, because I have it Agricola versus Castles of Burgundy as the title, so I was confused.
Okay, Agricola versus Castles of Burgundy.
Alphabetical order.
Yeah, A, C, B. Yeah, it's close. All right, but so we're going to break down our normal criteria, our 5. Again, this is to give you an idea, because a lot of people in the industry compare these two games.
And
so if you've heard of one, you've probably heard of the other.
And the big thing, too, is like... These are the two, like, if everybody says, like, if you're going to do some middleweight Euros, these are the two that you should try first if you're not familiar with them. So that's why we're doing this as well, because these are also very famous designers. So if you want to get introduction to either of these designers, these are some of the games you should start with those designers specifically as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So let's go ahead and start with game immersion, which is our first criteria.
Which is, we're talking about, is the game fun to lose? The player interaction, i.e. table talk, role-playing, and the memorable moments aspect. But before we really get into that, there's a couple similarities that I want to get discussion with these real quick. First off, they're both made by famous designers, as we mentioned. Uwe Rosenberg for Agricola and Stefan Feld for Castles of Burgundy. And those are the two of the big names that you're going to get if you get into board gaming. They're going to talk about a lot of these designers. Also, they're very prolific designers.
They are.
They do. I was just thinking another one of our compare and contrast that we could do is compare and contrast their
whole
big their big grande games. Feast for Odin versus CV Lucian, because those are the ones that are going to get compared a lot. They're also the designs that put the designers on the map, because Ove had some smaller games like Mamma Mia and Bonanza, of course, and Stefan Feld had his other smaller games. But Castles of Burgundy, which came out in 2013, I believe, and Agricola in the aughts, that really put those two designers on their map. Both are Euro-style games, so if you're an Ameritrash player, this might not be for you. Both are highly rated. I think both of them are in the top 100 in Board Game Geek.
Probably.
And the big thing about...
Or at least have been.
The big thing about them is there are both games that Awaken Realm has given a big, fancy reboot, refresh to. And they're fantastic-looking games that they just did. Castle of Burgundy was the first one, and it came out really well. You got Puerto Rico coming out soon, and Agricola just went on GameFound. That's another reason why we're doing this. So if you want to go look at it, go on GameFound. They are doing late pledges if Agricola sounds perfect for you.
Cool.
But with that being said, going back to game immersion, is the game fun to lose? Player interaction and memorable moments. Both of these games are fantastic to lose. However, one has more player interaction than the other. The big gripe about Castles of Burgundy, it's multiplayer solitaire. This is the first game I ever felt that it was multiplayer solitaire. You have one major board in the center where you're collecting pieces to put on your personal board. But other than that, there's not really a lot of player interaction unless someone uses a die to go to the thing that you want, where it's like a shipping lane or something like that, or grabs a building out of a section that you wanted to go for because I really needed that silver mine, that kind of thing. There's not a lot of player interaction, where at its core, Agricola is a worker placement game. So if I take a spot, you can't go there unless it says multiple people can go there, but usually it's one person can go there. So there's a lot more player interaction there. Memorable moments, both of these have really good memorable moments. Like I remember Castles of Burgundy the first time I played it, like, if I do this, but then I can trigger this and I can get this resources. Now this building is making me do something, so you feel clever at certain aspects. And if you could fill out something, you're working for something. If you could fill that out as early as possible, you're going to get more points. This is the quintessential Castles of Burgundy, a quintessential point salad game. Everything you do is going to give you a little bit of points here and there, and you feel clever. It's like, ooh, I got 3 points. Ooh, I got 5 points. All right, cool. Yeah, I feel good about this. I see my point tracker going up. Whereas Agricola, you're like, what am I doing now? So, yeah, both of them are very immersive. I don't even know why we started this without explaining the games.
Yeah, I was thinking, all right, I'll take Agricola because I think I'm more familiar with it. All right, so Agricola, the idea is that it's a worker placement game that takes place over, I think, 13 or 14 rounds. Each of those rounds introduces a new card onto the main board, which is a new spot of a worker placement.
Which I also believe are randomized, too. So.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, there's by ages.
Yeah.
So, like, you'll never have, like, cows come out on the first turn.
Yeah.
But you shuffle up these cards, and then you deal one out every round, and then you go through a round of worker placement, get your goods and your items. It also has spots that accelerate, so like there'll be some spots where you go there and you get 3 wood. Okay, that's flat. But there'll be some spots where it'll say, okay, every turn this gets 2 wood, which means that if it's ignored and continues to do so, it keeps building up those resources every turn, which is whoever gets to it first is the one who gets the action, which is also really kind of new. I haven't seen that too often, the building up resources, and I also have not seen the, like, random worker placement spots that come out. There's only one other game that I've seen that does that, and that's Mycroft or Holmes, Mycroft versus Sherlock, and it's a 2-player one from G.A.M.E.R that does that.
And I know there's the one that does like where the resource building, but you don't like this game. But it doesn't resource build. It's more like if you put a worker there, you get extra resources. Architects of the West Kingdom. When you put a worker there, and if you put a second worker there, now you're getting more resources.
Yeah, it's like multiplied based on the worker kind of thing. Yeah. And so
and like, you can feel the fingerprints from Agricola on that one.
A little bit, yeah. There's definitely. I mean, these two games were like walked so everything else can run, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And so that's really cool about it. So it's a farming simulation game, but you can also ranch. What's really cool about Agricola is that you have your homestead basically. You can build your family, so you have even more. You can upgrade your buildings. You can get different types of either crops that grow at different rates. You can get different types of animals like cows, sheep, whatever. And yeah, there's just so many options. It's as close to a sandbox game without being a sandbox game. It's not immersively sandbox, but it gives you a lot of different things that you can go for. And the best part about it that makes it better than everything else, or better than a lot, is that they have a number of decks of cards that are occupations and like abilities or actions or whatever. And you get those dealt out to you at the beginning of the game. And so that changes the game every single time. You'll have like 7 of each, and you can play those throughout the whole game whenever you want. That'll let you upgrade your buildings. It'll let you have different characters, different abilities that you could do throughout it. And that's why we generally like Agricola more than Caverna, because Caverna does not do that.
Yeah. And now Castles of Burgundy is, as I said, is the quintessential point salad game. Anything you're going to do here is going to give you points here or there. Sometimes it's 2 points. Sometimes it's 7 points. So it has a lot going for it. At its core, it's a dice placement game. You're going to be rolling dice, and then you're going to be filling loads. The first player is always going to be rolling a third die, which is basically going to determine where stuff gets put. Yeah. That's really neat about it. Your dice can either be something over here to get you equipment, allows you to build in a certain section on your map. So your dice has many jobs to do, just kind of like Agricola, how you can use your family and stuff like that to do different stuff. A big part of it, too, is that you're trying to fill out your lots. You're basically a castle, a principality that is trying to have secure farmlands and trade routes and stuff like that. So you're building out your personalized maps. The thing about this one is there is a plethora of maps just in the base box, let alone expansion maps and stuff like that. That changes it and gives you variability, but the basic map is you have farmland, some mines, and then some other stuff. And so if you complete a certain farmland, you get a certain amount of points depending on how many you fill there. You get a certain amount of points finishing one side of the river and another set of points if you finish the other side of the river, depending on when you do it. So that's what gives you something to work for, too. All the buildings have specializations. All the farm animals are going to score you different points because you want to like collect a lot of cows, because a lot of cows are going to give you a lot of points, or maybe pigs or sheep, depending on what you're going for, because a lot of them are going to multiply you a lot of points based on the type of animal and how much there are of that. And so it gives you some clever ideas of what, and talking about sandbox game, everybody can play this completely different and still have a chance to win the games. Okay, I'm going to go more for the shipping lanes. I can still win the game by going through the shipping routes, whereas you're playing the farmer and collecting all these animals that are going up, and you still have a chance. This is another one that is a sandbox game that gives you a lot of that feel without being like openly sandbox, whereas like Western Legends, where I am an outlaw and I'm doing cattle rustling, whereas you're a sheriff. This one's like, oh, I could do farming, or I can do this, or you know what, I'm going to be the Builders Guild and build all these buildings over here and get the rewards what they do. So it's really neat about how all of that works. So I really do enjoy that. All right, with that being said, let's get back into the game immersion aspect now that we know how the games are going to work. But yeah, so both games are fun to lose. I think one is more player interactive. That would be Castles of Burgundy, because at its core, it's a worker placement game. So there's going to be more interaction with the players, more so than the multiplayer solitaire.
Do you mean Agricola?
Agricola, yeah, sorry.
You said Castles of Burgundy.
Yeah, my bad, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
My mind's elsewhere at the moment. And then both have some good memorable moments. Like I said, when you're playing Castles of Burgundy, you're like, oh, if I do this, and then this can play off of this, and then I'm doing this. Oh, I finished my mine, so give me my money. Come on, the next round, I need more money here. Also, really like the workers, how they can mess with your die by adding one, or how many workers you use can add or subtract from one of your die. So if like I really need to ship with a number 4, well, I rolled a 6. Let me use 2 of these workers and drop that to 4. But also, I could turn a 6 into a 1, and that is really neat as well. So they do wrap around because the dice aren't really that important.
No.
They're just there to help you do something.
Right.
But yeah, no, I like both of these games. Both of them have some good game immersion for a Euro game, for that matter. Sure. One feels more thematic because you do feel like you're farming in Agricola. Mm-hmm. So, what are your thoughts on the game immersion aspect?
Yeah, I mean, multiplayer solitaire. Here's the thing, right? Castles of Burgundy is kind of a worker placement, just not directly.
Yeah.
It's, worker placement means I put my worker onto a spot, and that action is now void from you. Well, if that means take a tile, well, I take the tile, that is now void from you, because you can't take that tile now. And it gets replenished at the end of the round, just like worker placement, the workers come back, right? So, they're both very similar in that aspect, right? They have about the same level of interaction.
Yeah.
What makes it really interesting is not the level of interaction; it's how clever the games make you feel, right? Mm-hmm. Is because in Agricola, you're building up this farm. You can take all of these wide different changes. I feel like there's less options in Castles of Burgundy just because there's a good chance you'll fill up most of your board by the end of the game.
Yeah.
So that's already set in stone, kind of like what you're going to be doing. You're going to be dabbling in a little bit of everything no matter what, whereas you don't have time for that in
Yes
Agricola.
And no. With Castles of Burgundy, sometimes you want to race for animals.
Well, yeah, but like also, again, like you're going to pretty much get, like once you've filled out your animal farms in Castles of Burgundy, there's no reason for you to ever get those again. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll still get them, just whether I got as many. It's not, it's not. Again, there's not much interaction. But what really makes it immersive, though, in Castles of Burgundy that I really appreciate, is you do have these cascading combos. The Castles of Burgundy alone, the castle tiles, those pretty much give you an extra action right then and right there, which is awesome. So when you build those, you get to take a bonus action of anything you want. A lot of the buildings have different options. A lot of the yellow tiles have different actions you could take. And a lot of them have different ways where you can supplement your turn and add on these extra bonuses that you can do. Yeah. Agricola doesn't do that. The cards, the occupations, do to an extent, but it's not inert in the game like Castle of Burgundy does. So as far as game immersion goes, I feel like that does have a little bit more, not player interaction wise, but just like how you're running your puzzle and your engine.
Yeah, but we also forgot one thing about Agricola. The big thing about Uwe Rosenberg, you have to feed your people.
And that is immersive.
Yeah, if you're sitting there like, oh, do I have enough food? Do I need to go there to make sure I have enough food that I can feed my people? There's no famine going on in my farm. As
much as like that's such a controversial mechanism.
Yeah.
It does make sense.
Yeah,
I mean, when the harvest happens, I gotta
make sure I have enough people to feed that guy over there. Like little Johnny over there needs to get his soup.
Exactly. Poor little Johnny. He doesn't get soup. Feed him coins otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
He can eat money. So, which one do you think is the more immersive game?
This one's kind of tough for me. Because I know which one I prefer personally.
Sure.
But when we're talking about game immersion, I just think it's just a slight push for Agricola, just because the player interaction part of it, because of the way the worker placement. Yes, I get it, what you're saying. It is kind of worker placement-esque. But there's a lot more ability to pivot in Castles of Burgundy. Yep. If you take a spot from me in Agricola, that might punish me later on because I can't feed little Johnny now because you took that action. And so a lot of times there's going to be table talk where someone's getting cussed out at the table. Sure. That kind of thing.
Sure.
And both have really good memorable moments. So I just think for me, when it comes down to, is the game fun to lose? They're both fun to lose. Both have really good memorable moments because both games really make you feel clever at different points. But it's that player interaction where there is going to be a lot more table talk because you're literally interacting with other players, where in the Castles of Burgundy, it's so minute.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. However, here's the thing, right? Like, I think if you're coming from, like, a background that you generally like games, but you've never tried a Euro game, I think Castles of Burgundy is the one to try.
Oh, yeah.
Personally.
If you're someone who isn't into, like, take that or being mean to other players, Castles of Burgundy is where you should go.
Is where you should go.
If
Whereas,
you're someone who wants to play more cutthroat, if you're coming from like Ameritrash style games where you're going to be messing with other players at times, then yeah, Agricola is where you should go because there is a little bit more cutthroat in there.
a little bit more cutthroat. I was thinking more like if you're already into like Meteor Euro games, if you're already into that, and you've never played Agricola is the one you should start with. And the reason I say that is because I brought
was going to say
Castles
that
of
towards more
Burgundy.
ease of play. So.
Well, Castles of Burgundy, I brought to my where my brother was living a number of years ago, and his roommate just doesn't play games at all. She was not a fan of games at all. She was like, "All right, cool." And I was explaining it to my brother for the very first time, and she was over listening as she was cooking, and she was like, "All right, I'll give it a try." And both my brother and her bought that. That was her first game, was Castles of Burgundy. And that was surprising to me because I'm like, this is a dry, dusty Euro. It's a bunch of tans and grays.
It's a
not
layout
an exciting
through.
theme. Yeah, it's not an exciting theme. The components are fine at best.
Lookout
and yet
is...
she fell in absolute love with that game.
Lookout is Agricola?
No, it's Alea.
Agricola's Alea too?
Oh, no, Agricola, no. Humsimglue? No. We'll check.
Yeah.
Z-Man in the U.S., I know that, but I don't remember. I think it's Hums and Gluck. We'll check into that later. All right, so we've beaten that dead horse already enough. Let's go on to our next category, which is art and production.
If we're talking about the Awakened Realms, both of them are going to be really pretty. That is you.
That is me. I'm not talking about the Awakened Realms. I'm going to talk about the original for now, and we'll talk about that. Like, honestly, the art is really pretty in the Awakened Realms version. The Awakened Realms, we talked about that. It's like a super deluxe version. It's super fancy. I'm talking about like what you would generally go to the store to buy. Both of them are not amazing art. Alea, unfortunately, it's not super colorblind friendly. Agricola, it doesn't matter that it's not colorblind friendly. But for the longest time, the components used to be just cubes of different colors for different things, like wheat and pumpkins or whatever.
And also,
those
your
are
workers
orange and yellow.
are discs.
Your workers are colored discs, and then before
later on they allowed you to have stickers.
Yeah, later on they put stickers on it, thankfully, so you could figure that out.
No, they didn't put it on. You had to put it on.
Oh, well, but they included, you know what I mean. But then I remember like buying a later version of Agricola saying now with Animeeples.
Yeah.
It's like because that was before Animeeples were a thing. It was just cubes for the meeples. For everything, right? And functionally it makes sense, it works, but yeah, it was not a pretty game. Now, some of the artwork is pretty funny, honestly. Like it's silly artwork, it has a silly flavor to it, and it is immersive. But as far as art and production though, like the hexagon tiles are really chintzy in Castles of Burgundy. The dice are really nice. Mm-hmm. But your player mat is literally a piece of paper. Practically, it's not even a board. So, I mean, I think the art and production is better in Agricola as the base game. But just barely. Now, as far as the Awakened Realms version, again, those are going
to be 1A, 1B, really. Yeah. They're through the roof. Awakened Realms has really knocked it out of the park with these upgraded, refreshed bits. And I like the fact that they made it where if you just want the game, you can get just cardboard bits. If you want something a little bit nicer, you can get the acrylic pieces.
Yep.
If you want something deluxeified, you can get the miniatures version, which I personally have because I like the way it pops out off the map.
Yeah, we should also clarify. We're talking Castles of Burgundy. We have not yet seen the Agricola version one because it's not out yet.
Yeah, you can see the renderings on their game file, but it's going to look really good if they go based on just the Castles of Burgundy. Right. Yeah. They've done a real good job on that one. Again, I got the miniatures version of it because again, I like it because it pops off the map and it looks really good.
Yep.
Another big thing about the art and production, I agree with you. The art is slightly better in Agricola. Mm-hmm. Castles of Burgundy's art is mainly the cover because the maps are just colored
just
pieces.
Grid of hexagons,
grid of colored pieces, which are not helpful. They have tan and brown and yellow, and it's rough.
And the castles are not burgundy.
No,
they're on green. Dark green tiles.
To the point where Awakened Realms changed it and made the castles burgundy.
Thankfully.
Yeah, it's just like, really?
Yeah.
It is not all that great. The main art is coming from the cover. Same with Agricola. A lot of the art is coming from the cover. You get it in the cards and the pieces and stuff like that, but it's just your player board in a sense. The pieces and components are much better in Agricola, other than, it's mainly miniatures, but now today's copies, you get more stuff other than just, not miniatures, cubes. Mm-hmm. But the graphic design is just slightly better in Agricola. Alea is just notoriously bad with her thing. So, like, if you get the Awakened Realms version, fine. They just recently released the Castles of Burgundy 20th anniversary edition or something like that, or 10-year anniversary. And they didn't really update it all that well, other than they put it on a blue box. Yeah, it was fine by any means. Art and production, hands down, is going to be Agricola. However, I will say
now
this.
with Animeeples.
Yeah, now with Animeeples. Caverna has better artwork than Agricola.
It does.
That is the one thing I will say Caverna has better.
It does. They're already better on that one. I give you that. All right, let's go. That's a very quick topic. Right?
Yeah.
They're both pretty bad. Meaningful choice. Here we go.
And to me, the meaningful choice on this one, we're talking about impact on other players' strategies, the depth of strategy, tactics, or skill, and do arbitrary choices, AP make an impact on the game. And here's for me on this one, I think Agricola fits this category a little bit better because we mentioned it earlier, Castles of Burgundy is point salad, so everything you do is going to give you points, so every action is going to be good. No matter what you're going to do, you're still going to make something out of it. So when there's so many choices, that one can lead to AP. Also, too, I'm not making any meaningful choice because I know I'm going to get points depending on how the board state is going on at the time, based on my dice rolls, based on if I have workers and stuff like that. So there is arbitrary choices in this game, which also can lead to a little bit of AP. There is a lot of depth and strategy in both of these games. However, it's just slightly more in Agricola because you really do have to worry where other people are trying to go. You have to look at their board state. You have a lot more pivoting capability in Agricola based on, you went over there and took the thing I wanted to get, so maybe I won't ship this time around and see what comes up in the next round for me to ship maybe something better later on. So, okay, I'm going to go do this action. Or, you know what, I got these workers that I'm not really using. How about I just use them to do a different action that I was not planning to do? There's a lot more pivoting process. So if you want something that is less on the rails for you to be like, okay, that happened, now I can change my move, then yeah, Castles of Burgundy is for you. But if you want something where you want to have that depth where it's like, ooh, I really need to go there before him. So when's his turn order? So, okay, he went there. So I need to go to that spot on this next thing because I think he might go there on his next turn and he's ahead of me in that turn order. So, all right, I'm going to go here before I'm really ready to do it, but I really need these resources first. So I'm going to do this. And then I pivot into whatever else I need to do. But you have to really be thinking your moves ahead. Be like, okay, he's ahead of me. I kind of see where he's going. So Agricola really hits that meaningful choice aspect of it because you are impacting other players based on just where you put your character. Yeah. More so than Castles of Burgundy. Oh, you went there and took that thing I kind of wanted. That's fine. I'm going to go over here and take that mine that Gamehead Geek might have wanted. Yeah. And that fills up my mines, and now I'm going to get more points, even though that could have gave me a lot of points. It's a 2-point difference between what I was going to do firsthand and before. So it does some really neat things, but there's a lot more pivoting of capabilities here. Yeah. And so, like you always say, like if there's everything's a good choice, then there's no good choices. There's no good choices, that kind of thing. Yeah. And so, for me, I think Agricola just has that next step more, where you have to worry about what other people are doing on the board.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think Agricola is definitely more strategic. I mean, because of the fact that since you can get an understanding of what's going to happen when, and you can kind of build towards it, but again, it can be locked off so easily. Mm-hmm. That's a massive variable. Yeah. Whereas really, point salad, that is not, it makes you feel clever playing it, but it's also less strategic because of the fact that literally almost anything you do can score you points. So all you do is you look at the board state at each time and you go, okay, well, here's my dice. I can do this. Well, I guess I'll do this one. You know, that's the best option for me right now, and I hope I will finish it later on. It's less tension build. And, I mean, I agree. Meaningful choice. I think if you like more strategic, heavier games, then Agricola would be your lighter weight game. If you like easy games to play, and you're already at, like, Lightweight or Gateway Plus, like Ticket to Ride or something, and you want something with some cool engine building in it, then Castles of Burgundy is your option.
Yeah, and also I would say more along the lines, like, if you don't want something that is going to be handhelding you or on rails where, like, I really need to do this and this and then this, where you have the capability of pivoting, then, Castles of Burgundy is for you because everything is a good option for you. You're still going to get points no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So if you want something that is less on the rails for you, then there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, it's like there are some games where you feel like if you make a wrong move on like the third turn, you're out for the game.
Yep.
Castle of Burgundy, you will never feel that way. There's always wiggle room that you can work with. Always.
You may be making like 2 points less than what you would have made on your original turn because something happened, but it's still 2 less points rather than, oh no.
Yeah, it's so much you can plan for future rounds. Yeah. There's only 5 rounds.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But you can be like, all right, well, I'm going to plan for this future round, like 4 turns from now. Then that's when I'm going to go for getting this tile that I really want.
Yeah,
it's cool. All right, let's go into ease of play.
This is my fun one here. All right, ease of play is a big one for us. The simplicity and familiarity of the mechanism, likelihood to get to the table, i.e. the mechanism or the theme, and is it easy to learn, understand, and or teach. Now, if I was just doing a 1-to-1 ratio, I think Agricola would win ease of play on the aspect that the likelihood to get to the table would be a lot easier than trying to explain what Castles of Burgundy is. Other than it's an engine building game.
Yeah.
Whereas you're a farming game, you're putting a worker placement out there, you're putting your character out there, and you're gathering resources. That is at its core. You may have animals, you may have vegetables, depending on what you're doing. Yeah. Castles of Burgundy is slightly easier to teach.
I feel so, yeah. There's literally only 4 actions you can do.
But there's not much more, because Castles or Agricola is, you're basically putting your worker out there.
Right.
But what that worker's going to do, there's so many different stuff on the board. I like the fact that Agricola eases you into it by giving you new spots as you're going through the game instead of throwing everything at you like most worker placements do nowadays.
Yep.
It eases you into it. So both of these are simplicity and familiarity of the mechanisms are going to go work well. I think it's just slightly Agricola. More people know worker placement than engine building, even though it's just 4 actions. Yep. It's just like you want a cascade effect. Mm-hmm. But I think Agricola has the theme that more people are interested. I know a lot of people are like, I'm not doing any more farm games because Agricola, and there was a plethora of farm games at a time.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's not as prevalent. I think you'll find both of these. I like Castles of Burgundy, but it's like, oh, you're building a principality, basically. You're building land and stuff like that will trigger more points as you go along. It's kind of hard to explain what it does, but it is a fantastic game. But I think Castles of Burgundy is a much easier game to teach because, as you said, it's like 4 actions. The dice don't really mean anything, so people always get the tripped up of, wait, I can turn a 6 into a 1. I was like, yeah, the numbers don't really matter on this one. It's just more along the lines as where it can trigger. So if you're just increasing it by 1 or 1, you can flip it. It's fine. It doesn't do anything for you. And you could turn a 1 into a 6 by flipping it backwards. Because they're not really math pieces. They're just workers for you in the aspect. That is the only major hookup that game really does to people. It's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I'm like, yeah, most games you can't. This one you can because they're just workers. That's all they're doing. Yep. They're people that you're sending out. And so ease of play, I still think it is Agricola, especially if you're coming from things like viticulture and haven't played any of these past games. Where if you like engine building games like Gizmos and stuff like that, and you want something that has a little more depth and a little more Euro style, then Castles of Burgundy is where you should try. So what are your thoughts?
I agree. I think actually Castles of Burgundy is far simpler. And for some weird reason, it's simpler. And I don't
understand it.
I don't understand why it's simpler, but it is. Well, I can verify why. We always talk about in gaming worker placement.
I'm just going based off what we have there.
In gaming, worker placement is a fundamental mechanism that once you get into gaming, you're going to learn it pretty quick, and it's pretty easy to understand from there. That is not a thing that's outside of gaming, though. Outside of board gaming, worker placement is not really a thing.
I mean, sure, I go to work and I do something specific and get money for it.
Right. But that's a very different thing, right? It's I mean, like the logic of what it is and what it's trying to do, I get it. But at the same time, it's still like, that's not a functional mechanism that you use often in a lot of other games. Anything outside of gaming. And so an outside of gamer, that's not a familiar mechanism as a worker placement, especially one that grows or things that go from there. Now, everything else on top of it, the reason why I still don't think it's that simple is that even though you're like farming and growing and all that stuff, each of the different things, like wheat and pumpkins, like as soon as you get them, then they immediately grow to their max, and then you can harvest one at a time. But then the cows, if there's 2 of them, then you can go to a third, but they have to have enough space to be pendant. And there's a lot of like conditions for a lot of the different parts.
Yeah.
Whereas Castle of Burgundy is like, the condition is, hey, you see that number there? Yeah, if you have that number, you can do it. If it matches the color, then you're good.
Yeah.
That's all it is, right? And so you really do have 4 mechanisms. That's pretty easy. Now, as far as likelihood to get to the table, Castle of Burgundy is the dullest theme in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And Agricola is, it's at least farming and ranching. Yeah, that's kind of cool,
Yeah.
It's chill, people play Stardew Valley for a reason.
Yeah.
So I get it. Like, I think...
And then what is the big game before Stardew Valley that was
Animal Crossing?
Animal Crossing, Monster Rancher.
Yeah. Monster Rancher, sure. Any of those like farming sims.
Farmville, there we go. That's the one
yeah.
on Facebook that everybody played back in the day.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, if you want something like that, then Agricola is your thing, right? But as far as to teach, it's actually like I go into it the same way that I teach like a lot of games, and Castle Burgundy is actually really functionally easy to teach. I literally go in there and go, okay, we're gonna roll 2 dice. You're gonna do 2 things, but really you have 4 choices, and they're based off of that number anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of them doesn't even matter the number, so. That's literally all you're doing. Like, this is going to look way more intimidating because there's a lot of different colors and symbols and stuff. I promise you it's actually way simpler than it looks. And then like, okay, cool. And I'm like, yeah, literally, if you see a number, you can take one from there. If you have a number, you can put one there. Otherwise, you just sell some stuff or get some workers. That's it, And like that's a really easy teach, right? Mm-hmm. And it looks intimidating. And since you have the whole reference table and you can reference it as it comes out, it does ease it in. Kind of like how Agricola does. But I do think Castle of Burgundy does have an easier
I will say this, though, about Castles of Burgundy. Alea needs to do better than putting their reference sheets on the side of the pages in the rulebook, how everything works, rather than giving you just a reference sheet. Because if you had a reference sheet, it would have been fine. Or passing the rulebook for everybody to read, okay, this is how this specifically works.
Yellow is the only one that doesn't have a reference sheet. Everything else is referenced on your board.
Yeah.
Right. And yellow, just because every tile is literally different.
Different, yeah.
I wish, there was an easier way to do that. But you're right. I mean, but the fact that the references are there, but it's also symbology, too.
Yeah,
so some of it is like, oh, wait a minute. And like, when it's take either a green or a gray tile, you and me are like, okay.
No.
Light green, light gray.
The tan tiles,
yeah,
man. The tan, because it messes with the browns, in the yellows, in the greens.
And the light
like,
greens, yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So, we have our opinion on that because of that reason. So, either way.
But, yeah, both of them are really good. I was thinking, like, a long time, like, Magic the Gathering, if you're used to how different things trigger, I think Castles of Burgundy would fit more along there, like, for the cascading effects. Like, oh, this does this, and I do this, and I do that. So if you're coming over from Magic the Gathering, I think Castles of Burgundy would work well for you, because the way the cascading effects work for you as well. So there's a recommendation there.
Yep. Yeah, I would disagree. Like I said, I think Castles of Burgundy is the Ameritrash's Euro. I really do.
I think so too.
I think like if you're really into like kill things with dice and like all these shenanigans and stuff, and you want to sink your teeth into a Euro, Castles of Burgundy like has some cool stuff that like a lot of Ameritrash games like Magic can do.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
All right, finally, replay value.
Here we go.
And what we're talking about here is the length of time and scaling well, minimum number of plays for the full experience, and the expandability if they have expansions or... and these are older games. They have expansions. Castles of Burgundy has, 8?
Oh, more than that.
11, something like that?
Yeah.
Because you just have like several expansions that are just more player boards that give you variability, and they're double-sided. Mm-hmm. I think there's... 8 or 9 player boards? Just in the base game, there's like 4.
There's like 6. A co-op version. Yeah. There's like a double board. There's a solo board.
Yeah. They got a lot just on that aspect of it. Agricola has a couple expansions, I think. 2 or 3.
They're mainly decks of cards. That's their big thing. Is that you can get a lot of decks of cards.
It gives you a lot of variability on that one. Both of them are somewhat long, but they have like in-game sets. So 5 rounds for Castles of Burgundy. I think it's 9 rounds for Agricola 7?
No, it's like 14.
Okay, yeah, but everything's coming out there.
Yeah.
Agricola is just slightly longer at a full player count. We've played both of these games at 4 player. Agricola is just slightly longer.
It does handle more players, though.
It does handle more players, unless you get the expansions that give you more players than Castles of Burgundy. Because there's, I think, 2 that could put it up to 6 players, I think.
Something like that,
Base to base, though, Agricola can hold more. But at 4 players, since we both play these at 4 players, I've both also played these both at 2 players, and I don't think I've played both at 3 players. But at 4 players, the length of time is pretty much the Castles of Burgundy, just slightly a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah.
I think 4 players, an hour, Castles of Burgundy, if familiar with the game. Hour and a half for Agricola, just because of possible AP and stuff like that.
Yeah. They can go longer.
Yeah, the minimum number of plays for the full experience.
That's by far Agricola.
That's Agricola.
Because of the deck of cards.
The only real big change you're going to get in Castles of Burgundy is the fact that you may be playing on a different board. And it also recommends, like, if you're used to Castles of Burgundy, play on a more difficult board while teaching everybody the basic boards.
Yeah.
That is one way to help the new players and stuff like that to still compete. But that's really the only difference, is that they're just different player boards, which can make it variable for me. It's like, oh, that's not near there. But yeah, there's a lot more stuff in Agricola that will change. Other than the board state in the central, just based on the shuffle or what you're drawing out to the board, that's the only thing that's really going to be different. But one game of Castles of Burgundy is not going to be much different than another game of Castles of Burgundy.
Really not.
Where Agricola will have a lot more uniqueness to it.
Yeah.
Both are, like I said, are highly expandable. So.
Yep. So there you go. Both are replayable. Again, I think it comes down to, it's like Agricola has like all of those wild decks and stuff.
Yeah.
And even in like the anniversary edition, they had like the mysterious deck where it's like aliens and stuff. And, like you get crop circles and silly stuff, and so they have that silly flavor. Whereas Castle of Burgundy has all those different like player counts and different like alternate versions, like
variable boards, co-op
variable boards.
Yeah. And then the Awakened Realms just added a new expansion to it, the Vineyards. So if you get the Awakened Realms, you get an expansion that you can't get in the Alea versions.
Yep, exactly. So there's a lot of replay value for both, but I think Agricola, Castle of Burgundy has a little bit more, just because of the scaling well and the expansions.
All right, so we've been talking about these games for a good amount.
Yep.
How are you going to recommend things? So where are you coming from for Agricola?
Again, if you are already, like, if you're coming into it like from Carcassonne or Stone Age or Ticket to Ride, and you're already into those gateway Euro games, then Agricola should be your next bet.
Okay.
If you're coming up from outside of that, like you're playing a Risk or Munchkin or any other style of games, like more Ameritrash games, technically, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Castles of Burgundy would be your best option to jump into Euro games.
Yeah, and I'm way I come for it as well is, if you're more into a take that style, not really just board games, but if you play video games that are more take that, like fighting games, or you want to mess with people a little bit, Agricola is where you want to go. If you're playing, say, something like, we're going to be talking about it later, Risk, where you're in someone's face, Agricola is going to give you a little bit more of that than Castles of Burgundy. Castles of Burgundy is multiplayer solitaire. If you want something to play with the older family that is not too heavy, not too hard, like, say, grandma or mom and dad, who may be on the older side, but real simple, but give you a little bit more crunch, like trick-taking people who play Rook and stuff like that, they can handle this one a little bit better, because it's like, oh, you just want to build a set here. You just want all yellow in there, that's going to score you points, or you want all your greens in there, and that's what's going to score you points. That would be, for me, is for Castles of Burgundy, because that's going to be a lot simpler for you to teach them, rather than, because they're not playing games to be mean to other players. And so
they're maxing their strategy.
And so Castles of Burgundy really will do that for you because of that cascading effect. Like I said, coming from, you said it as well, from the Ameritrash style of games, where you have the cascading effects, where you're like, oh, this makes me feel really clever, or Magic the Gathering, or any like CCG that has these cascading effect things. Castles of Burgundy is where you want to go.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So, we hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Hopefully that helped you out. If you ever want to email us directly, we have an email, everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com. And you can email us for ideas for future episodes, enter in future contests, or even just to say hello.
And speaking of contests, we just had a recent winner. We didn't talk about it at the top. We will talk more about it at the beginning of the next podcast. But a winner was pulled. He was contacted, and he accepted Canvas. So, there we go.
Congratulations. And we also have an Instagram, instagram.com/everydayboardgames. Keep an eye on that very soon, because we're going to be posting a lot to it over the next couple days.
As well as all video re-uploads and reviews, and the Instagram reels that we put up are going to be found on youtube.com/@everydayboardgames. And if you like what we do, there are 3 things you can do to help us grow on the platform. Subscribe if you're not, like the video, and comment down below and tell us your thoughts on the subject.
We also stream our episodes live at twitch.tv/everydayboardgames. Make sure you follow us there so that way you can be notified when we join a live episode and join in on the chat like our friend Illuminous today.
Also, hint, hint, you usually get first dibs at the code words when we do contests.
That's true.
Because we record ahead. And all audio versions can be found on most podcast platforms under Everyday Board Games Podcast. This includes Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, and Apple.
So thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I've been your host, Daniel.
And I've been your host, Daniel.
And we want to thank you for listening to Everyday Board Games.
And remember, every day is a good day for board gaming.